to welcome back to our Zoom stage Juliana, who is going to tell us a real-life adventure about changes that can change how we look at our own paradigms and the outcomes of those paradigms. So here's Juliana, person with, when in doubt, paddle it out.
Nice.
It was a weird sort of limbo between the end of cancer treatment and my final scan. After a year of chemo, I had to wait to find out how well it had worked. Was it finally over? I was hopeful, but scared. I was scared that the answer was no. That would mean more chemo, maybe radiation, more having to stay home with my parents, more of having to put all of my dreams and plans on hold. Weirdly though, I was also scared that the answer was yes. If treatment was over, that would mean I was free. Free to... I had no idea. Pursue my dreams and plans, I guess, but what even were those anymore? If I had a second chance, I could redefine myself, become a whole new person, Juliana 2.0. But who should I be? It was a similar sort of existential dread I'd had about graduating from school. I mean, I want to be finished. Of course I want to be finished. But things would be simpler in some ways if I wasn't. During treatment, I had almost no responsibilities. All I had to do was follow directions and go to appointments. Stepping out into the real world, taking charge of my own destiny, seemed like a daunting prospect. I'd always thought of myself as being strong and adventurous. Is that still true? It didn't feel like it. I was in the worst shape of my life and wasn't sure if I could trust my body anymore. I got so tired, so fast. I kept overestimating myself and falling short. I was really apprehensive to try any sort of physical activity that might be dangerous. So what do you do if you have some time on your hands and you're worried that your adventurous spirit may have withered alongside your tumor? You go on an adventure, of course.
Woohoo!
I got my doctor's approval and signed up for a week of whitewater kayaking with First Descents, an organization that provides outdoor adventure to young adult cancer survivors. This trip was specifically geared towards survivors and had a nurse on hand, so that could appease my new cautious side, while I explored whether or not I was still a thrill seeker. Amid the majestic mountains and fast, clear rivers of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, I settled into the lodge and met my fellow campers, a dozen cancer survivors under 40. We were all at different stages of our journey, from me still bald, fresh out of chemo, to one girl who'd had her cancer more than a decade ago. We all were facing different challenges, but we're there on the same mission, to find our post-cancer selves. One of the first orders of business was being issued our gear: kayak, paddle, wetsuit booties, wool socks, splash jacket, spray skirt, fleece jacket, life jacket, fleece hat, helmet. Kayaking requires a lot more stuff than I thought. I understood that better when we got going. That water was cold. First day, we stuck to the basics. We learned how to adjust the fit of our kayaks, how to stretch the spray skirt over the cockpit rim to keep water from splashing in. We learned paddle strokes and what to do if we flip over. Kayakers with more experience can just flip themselves back up again. But as beginners, we learned the wet exit, which is exactly what it sounds like. You pull the strap of the spray skirt to exit the kayak and get all wet. Before hitting actual whitewater on day 2, they gave us a lot of dire sounding warnings about the dangers to be found on the river. Foot entrapment, sweepers, strainers, rocks. I realized it was important, but the safety talk got me really nervous. What if I got so tired I couldn't keep up? What if when I flipped over, I hit my head on one of these numerous dangerous rocks they were talking about? What if this survivor trip ended up being how I die? That would be ironic. What if I just changed my mind right now and asked to go back to the lodge? I didn't ask to go back. I got out on the river and it was gorgeous. The mountains and the trees looked even taller from down in a kayak. It sits so low that I felt like part of the river. The cold water numbed my hands as I paddled and splashed in my face in the rapids. It was more exciting than any ride at Disneyland. I did wimp out for a bit on day 4. My arms were sore, I didn't paddle hard enough, and I flipped over in one of the rapids. That had happened enough at this point that it wasn't an immediate cause for concern. I knew the drill. I tucked my head, I tapped the sides of my boat, reached forward to pull the spray skirt, and the grab loop wasn't there. It should be right in front of me, but it wasn't there. I frantically felt around the sides of the cockpit rim, but I couldn't find that strap. I had put the spray skirt on upside down with the release strap underneath where I couldn't reach it. Oh, crap. During treatment, I sometimes thought I might die, but it was a more abstract, I may or may not see 30 sort of a worry. This was different. This was primal, pit of my stomach. I may have just breathed my last breath, blind panic. I'm trapped. And I'm upside down, and water is rushing all around me, and my lungs are burning, and the way I was missing, and right here, right now, I'm about to die! I managed to rinse the spray skirt off without the strap, tumbled out of the kayak, and got to the surface coughing and sputtering. Unlike my previous flips, this time, I was not ready to get back in my kayak. A bunch of water had gone up my nose, and I was really shaken up from what felt very much like a near-death experience. I was done for the day. My kayak and I were pulled up onto the support raft, and I was a passenger for the last couple of miles. The huge sense of relief I felt getting on that raft was quickly replaced by feeling disappointed in myself when we reached the takeout site. My fellow campers were all chattering away about how much fun that last rapid had been, and I'd missed out. Yes, I'd been tired. Yes, I'd been scared. But I could have continued. I had chosen to skip those last few rapids. Was this who I am now? Am I the kind of person who steps back and watches while other people have adventures? I had the horrible realization that that's exactly who I would become if I gave up. No, I refuse to be that kind of a person. That's not who I was, and that's sure as heck not who I want to be. I had failed that day, but I was determined not to do so again, not on this kayaking trip and not in life in general. A big part of why I had flipped in the first place was that I hadn't been paddling enough. If you stop paddling, you're just swept along at the mercy of the current. Being swept along by the current was pretty much what my life had been during treatment. That wasn't okay with me anymore. I'm not gonna sit back. I'm not gonna skip the rapids. I'm not gonna step down from a challenge. I got back in my kayak the next day with a certain amount of trepidation, but determination as well. For this last day on the river, my goal was to always keep paddling and not allow myself to drift, literally or figuratively. It was exhilarating to be back down at water level in the kayak, getting splashed in the face by the rapids. And my confidence improved as the day went on. That afternoon, we hit our biggest rapid of the whole trip, a huge wave train. We went at it one at a time with several kayak lengths in between each person. I could feel the butterflies starting to build as I waited. Violent, angry, man-eating butterflies. Finally, it was my turn. I left plenty of space and started paddling. I picked up speed. I was feeling good until I realized that the kayak ahead of me was still in the rapid and not moving forward. She had somehow gotten turned around and was surfing this giant wave. At this point, I was already in the rapid. I looked at her, my eyes got wide. Oh, fudge bananas, I can't stop. She looked back at me with a similar expression. Shiitake mushrooms, I can't move. I tried to steer around her. I paddled on just one side. Maybe I could avoid her. Nope. We collided and both flipped over. I had a second of panic, remembering the terrifying experience from the day before. But when I reached forward and felt that grab rope strap, I relaxed. I've got this. I tugged the strap, I wet exited, and when we got to the shore, she and I laughed and high-fived before getting back in the boats and continuing on. That was my moment of realization. I may not be as strong as I used to be, or as fit as I used to be, but I'm still me. I'm still adventurous. I'm still brave. I felt ready for anything that might be ahead on that river, or life in general. When I got home, I had my scan, and it was clear. I was free to pursue my dreams and plans.
Woohoo!
I still didn't really know what those were, but I was ready to find out.